Hello everybody, it is Reid from readaboutsex.com, and we are on our little Facebook Live morning walk or afternoon walk, depending on what time zone you are in. We have people who are joining us from other parts of the world, so maybe it's an evening walk for you. But today's topic, as we walk around the beautiful sunny streets of San Jose, California, today's conversation is going to be a quick one on how not to fall in love, how to delay your imprinting triggers or tripwires or little landmines that have folks go from casual dating or a casual relationship in these modern times to a full-blown we're having a relationship with a capital R. And so let me just make sure. Can people hear me okay? Good morning. Good morning, Sable. Let's see. Let somebody just leave a comment and let me know if you can hear me okay. I've got my selfie stick, so that'll help keep it a little bit less jiggly. It'll keep my arm from falling off today. Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so for our little walk here today, we're going to be talking about imprinting triggers. There's some interesting research that's come out over the last couple of years. It's been, corroborated in other countries. So I think the information is sound. These studies, where they're studying the brain activity in folks who are in love, and finding out that the centers of the brain, using functional MRI machines and stuff like that, like seeing what's active in the brain when people are in love, those areas, those parts of the brain that light up, are the exact same parts of the brain that light up when you are addicted to cocaine. So when you are in love, you are essentially, from a brain perspective, high as a kite. And in this instance, when you're falling in love with somebody, you're actually like addicted to your dealer. Like they become the drug. And what's interesting for me, and as somebody who enjoys casual relationships, who's non-monogamous, in consensually open non-monogamous relationships, and as somebody who's very promiscuous, who has, like my motivation is to be self-expressed, but also like leave the campsite better than I found it, like not wreak havoc and leave a wake of destruction in my path from wanting to have casual relationships and casual sex. I don't take my casual sex casually. And so, over the years, it was for me trying to figure out, like, well, how do you know when it's a good idea to have a casual relationship with somebody, and like, how do you keep something casual when you're trying to keep things casual? Because what I was noticing was, sometimes we would just fall madly in love, and it didn't seem like, it seemed like it was impossible to keep things casual. And I was very invested in, like, how do we stick to our goals, basically, and also understand, like, when is it a good idea to go deeper, like, when's it a good fit. And this was, the beginning of me starting to figure out also, like, dating your species and all these other ideas that you've heard me talk about. So the things that I have found out over the last, 15, 20 years, I put down in a handout, because, I like my little downloads and handouts, and I call them the casual sex protocols. I also sometimes refer to them as slut protocols. So if you're curious about getting the rest of the downloads and learning the rest of the points, because we probably won't get a chance to cover everything in this quick talk, what I invite you to do is go to readaboutsex.com/protocols, and that'll send you to a sign-up page that'll then give you the download, and has a little free video of me walking you through the steps. To just dive right into the steps, and I think these steps are useful for people who are looking to have serious relationships. But when you need to keep it casual, here's some good advice, I think, that seems to be working for lots of other people, because at this point I've taught this stuff to thousands of folks, and I've gotten a lot of great positive feedback. I just think it's useful to have more choice in your life. This is not me dissing on falling in love. This is not me dissing on, relationships with a capital R, but I have noticed in coaching and working with people that when people can't control themselves, there's the erotic fun and freedom of the abandon of falling in love. But when you don't have control of if you can keep yourself from falling in love with somebody who's a bad fit for you, that also seems to wreak a lot of havoc on folks. So the first bit of advice to just look at is it seems that casual relationships work better when people see each other less often. And generally speaking, if I had to give you air quotes, a big bit of advice, don't see people that you're trying to be casual with, you're trying to have a relationship with a lowercase r. Don't see them more than once a month. If you are seeing them, some people they can see each other twice a month, but if you're seeing people like weekly or several days a week, just psychologically you're having a relationship. Like you're being in somebody's life on a regular basis, and that can be really hard to keep yourself from starting to develop really deep feels. And again, I think there's a distinction between intimacy and just getting your social needs met and connecting deeply with somebody, and then building something. And if you're seeing each other multiple times a month, you just kind of keep re-upping yourselves on the cocaine, on the endorphins, on all the brain chemistry and hormones that get released when you start to fall in love. And, if you don't pay attention and you keep, it's like when they used to talk about getting addicted to tobacco. If you have one cigarette, you're probably fine, but if you smoke 3 or 4 cigarettes in the same day, that's when you get hooked. So if you keep dumping those endorphins and those hormones, there's a good chance you're gonna set off a domino effect that then starts to have you fall in love, and then all of a sudden you're addicted to your cocaine dealer, so to speak. So the second bit of advice in the protocols is to be really mindful of how often you're connecting with people. So if you're trying to be casual, and let's say you are seeing them only once a month, but you're texting them every day or sexting them every day, before you go to bed at night, you check out their Facebook post to, see how their day went. Just be mindful, what you're doing is you're getting that hit again. You're getting your shot of cocaine, and you're doing the relationship thing just without actually seeing them in person. This is also really useful. This doesn't have to be about casual sex. This can also be just like with dating. And, if you're with somebody, if you're dating somebody, and you guys are, still trying to figure out if you're a good fit, a good match for going deeper in the relationship, following these protocols can be really useful because you don't start falling in love before you're sure that it's a good idea to fall in love, and also for them, they're not falling in love with you before you guys kind of figure out what's going on. I'm just going to check my comments. Can you love more than one at the same time? Yes, you can, I think. It's not everybody's thing. And now I'm on a loud, noisy road, so I'm going to have to get off this in a second. Oh, hi, Carly. Hi, Zita. Mwah. Yes, and while love has no limits, and that can be quite euphoric, you might want to pick an opportune time and place to have that kind of expansion in your life. Some people, they're working and focusing on other things and they don't want to fall in love, or they're dating somebody who wants children and they don't want children, but they are having a great time and they are trying not to fall in love. So again, you just consider this advice. You're not a bad person if you don't use it, and I'm going to get off this noisy street as quickly as I can. I apologize for the extra noise. So other bits of advice that can be really useful for, I'm jaywalking, don't tell anybody. Other bits of advice that can be useful around seeing somebody or sleeping with somebody once a month, and then also being mindful of how often you stay in touch with them. Another thing where people would make mistakes, if you're trying not to fall in love, is you do the sleepovers. You're having the great date. Maybe you're even doing the date once a month. You're following the protocols, but then you do the sleepover, and that's really intimate and amazing. And you had sex. Let's say you're having sex. You had sex the night before, and then you have the morning sex, and that's going to be the 1-2 punch that will often start tripwiring and creating the domino effect of people falling in love. You have this intimate time, and maybe some ecstatic, amazing sex with somebody, and then you sleep over, so you're getting all this bonding and cuddling and all these monkey touch needs met for intimacy. For my more woo-woo folks, perhaps you're like, over the nighttime of sleeping together, you're just kind of bathing in each other's energies and the kind of weaving that can do, and then the next morning you have the morning sex, and you just kind of anchor it all and lock it all in. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with sleepovers. It's the idea of, when you start stacking these functions, let's say you're seeing each other weekly, having weekly sleepovers and weekly sex, and then having morning sex the next morning. That's 4 times in a week, in a month, that you just keep dumping those endorphins. And for some people, it can be really hard to not start deeply connecting, having feelings for each other, and falling in love. And maybe there's a distinction of love with the lowercase l, and then like capital in all caps, love. And if you two are trying to keep it casual, and you're doing those things month after month, it's really hard. Like, there's not like a casual in all caps. It doesn't work that way. Like, there's casual, it's all in lowercase, and then there's relationship, and then there's relationship with a uppercase R, and then there's relationship all caps, love all caps. Nothing wrong with these things. I just think if you're trying to create more ease and self-expression in your life and more joy, and stack the deck in your favor to have really great relationships that aren't fraught. And I know that a lot of people have the opinion that relationships are there for us to do deep soul growth and work. And my opinion is, I think that deep soul growth and work can happen without the struggle, without all the friction. And that I would invite you to consider, what if the lesson was learning how to have joyful, expansive relationships? There will be times when they are hard work and life sucks, but how about having joy and expansive intimacy in relationships that don't require all the struggle? You guys want to say hi? Yeah. There we go. Some cool guys across the street. Morning, guys. Doing a little Facebook Live. Facebook Live, tell the cowboy. So, it's really about choice. This is just information for you to consider. You're not wrong if you love falling in love. I'm just curious if it would be more fun falling in love without the horrible train wreck and all the casualties 6 months, 18 months, 3 years later. That's all. So, hey, Brent. Oh, yay, Pinkerton Academy. Woo, go Astros. So, I'm going to wrap this up because my phone's now telling me I've got like 10% battery left. Go to readaboutsexcom/protocols to find out what the rest of the protocols are. I think I've got 12 protocols on there, and they all kind of stack nicely. And there's a little video that you get that'll also kind of walk you through the basics of understanding these things. And then, either come back here or email me at read@readaboutsex what you thought about the protocols. Like, do they sound useful? Maybe you don't need them, but maybe a friend needs them. Somebody who just keeps falling in love with the wrong people. And one of those, one of the things I say a lot in my workshops is, one of the biggest challenges in relationships today, and maybe it's always been this way, is that there are people who fall in love with great people who are horrible fits for them. And it just makes sense to me that having a little bit more control or awareness on how you navigate falling in love, that could be really useful for some people. It seems that having more choice, not an overwhelming amount of choice, but more agency, more coordination, and self-awareness in your life is a good thing and not a bad thing. So leave your comments. I'm sorry I couldn't read everything on my selfie stick to say hi to everybody this morning, but I'm gonna jump off before my phone discharges. Which, when you're sex educating, you say your phone's going to discharge. It just sounds dirty. It doesn't sound right. So I'm going to end there. Thank you so much, folks. Let me know what you think. Share the video. And I think tomorrow's Facebook Live, I'll be with Kathy Vartuli, who lives here in amazing San Jose, where I must have passed at least 2 dozen fruit trees, and the oranges look pretty ripe. Thank you all for going on a walk with me. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, Sex Geek. If you would like to continue with the brain sex, do me a favor and click subscribe right here. If you'd like to watch me on social media, that's where you're going to go. Next video, maybe? And if you really would like your own Sex Geek t-shirt, please click right here, right now. Boop. No, really, like,